speech versus fake speech. The First Amendment's identity crisis. Imagine Paul Revere riding through the streets, warning, "The British are coming! The British are coming!" Except half the town yells, "Fake news!" and another quarter insists it was the French, and a viral post claims that Paul Revere never existed. Welcome to the First Amendment's latest challenge, an era where free speech collides with disinformation. For over 230 years, the First Amendment has protected the free exchange of ideas. But in an age where lies spread faster than truth, has it become a shield for deception? Today, we'll explore 1. The legal landscape, why the First Amendment protects free speech. 2. Disinformation's impact, how bad actors exploit free speech. And 3. The future of regulation. Can we combat disinformation without sacrificing free speech? We'll start with the first one, the legal landscape, why lies are protected with speech. The First Amendment broadly protects speech, even when it's false. In United States v. Alvarez in 2012, the Supreme Court struck down a law punishing people for lying about military honors, ruling that falsehoods alone can't justify censorship. The court feared that allowing the government to criminalize falsehoods would give it too much power to define the truth, an idea that could be easily abused. However, the First Amendment is not absolute. There are some limits. Speech that incites imminent violence is one. Brandenburg v. Ohio in 1969 found that defamation and fraud cause direct harm. False advertising where misinformation is used to deceive customers, and other issues. But here's the problem. Most disinformation falls into a legal gray area. False claims about elections, vaccines, or wars may be harmful, but they often don't meet the legal threshold for restriction. And because the Supreme Court has ruled that the government cannot be an arbiter of the truth, regulating misinformation remains legally complex. Today's biggest challenge? Disinformation isn't just personal falsehoods, it's strategic deception, often spread at a scale. And courts have yet to determine how or if democracies should regulate it. Which comes to our second point, disinformation's impact when free speech becomes a weapon. While the First Amendment protects speech, disinformation weaponizes it. Bad actors, foreign governments, conspiracy theorists, and extremists use free speech protections to spread falsehoods that destabilize democracy. Let's start with 1, election disinformation, the Russian playbook. Take Russia's interference in the 2016 election. Russian trolls under the Internet Research Agency, also known as the IRA, used social media to push fake news, deepen social divides, and manipulate voter perceptions, according to the Senate Intelligence Report in 2020. Their tactics weren't just random misinformations. They were deliberate attempts to undermine democracy, legally protected under the US's free speech laws. But secondly, public health disinformation, when our lies have actually cost lives. The COVID-19 pandemic highlighted the deadly impact of disinformation. A 2021 study from the Center for Countering Digital Hate found that 12 individuals dubbed the Disinformation Dozen were responsible for 65% of vaccine misinformation online. Their false claims, such as vaccines containing microchips, led to lower vaccination rates and preventable deaths. Yet legally, their speech was protected. Or maybe a third example, the rise of deep fake information. Now, AI-generated disinformation is making it even harder to distinguish fact from fiction. Deepfake videos can fabricate political speeches, create false news reports, and spread propaganda indistinguishable from reality. A 2024 Brookings Institute study warned that AI-proven disinformation could erode public trust in democracy. The bottom line, the First Amendment, meant to protect free thought, is now shielding speech that undermines public trust and national security as a whole. But moving on to our third point, the actual future of regulation. Can we fight disinformation without killing free speech? If so, how do we fight disinformation without handing the government too much power to police speech? 2 major solutions are being debated. 1. Tech regulation. Should major social media companies take the lead? Some argue that private companies, not the government, should regulate disinformation. Platforms like Facebook, YouTube, and X, formerly Twitter, have introduced fact checking, content moderation, and labeling of false information, although Facebook dismantled this department in late January. Critics of this call this corporate censorships. In Missouri versus Biden 2023, a judge ruled that the government cannot pressure tech companies to remove content, reinforcing concerns over state overreach. This case raised a crucial question though. Where does moderation end and censorship begin? The second solution that's being debated is stronger defamation laws. Can we sue for disinformation instead? Some legal scholars propose expanding defamation laws to hold individuals accountable for spreading harmful falsehood. Currently, New York Times versus Sullivan in 1964 sets an extremely high bar for defamation lawsuits, requiring proof of actual malice. However, loosening these laws could allow powerful figures to silence critics. If harmful speech becomes too broadly defined, legitimate journalism and dissent could be threatened. The United States could follow suit by incorporating critical thinking and digital literacy into school curricula as well. As after all, disinformation only succeeds if our people believe into it. What's our conclusion today? The First Amendment is at a crossroads. It was designed to protect political dissent and free thought, but at an age where bad actors use it to spread disinformation, we face a difficult choice. Protect free speech at all costs, or risk censorship in the name of truth. What's clear is that disinformation isn't just a tech problem or a legal dilemma. It's a democratic crisis. The future of the First Amendment depends on one crucial balance: defending free speech without putting the government too much power.